Our country is in danger, not just from foreign enemies, but above all from our own misguided policies. This war must be ended, and in my judgment, it can be ended. And it does not involve giving up, but it does involve not continuing to follow the bankrupt policy.
Because the Catholic family was so large, there was no birth control, unless it was abstinence. Bobby was later born in Brooklyn, Massachusetts in 1925. Bobby Kennedy's grandfathers were both John Francis Fitzgerald and Patrick Joseph Kennedy. Along with Bobby's grandfathers, Kennedy's father was a highly successful businessman who later served as ambassador to Great Britain. Once Bobby's father became involved with politics and foreign affairs, he could tell how much of an impact politics would be to this family.
The Lord cause his face to shine upon you and give you peace both now and forever. Amen.
This has been the presidential breakfast from the Hotel Texas in Fort Worth. Now the presidential party will leave Fort Worth, go to Dallas, where this afternoon he will address a crowd at the Trade Mart.
Bobby resigned from his Attorney General position on September 3, 1964, to become a candidate for the U.S. Senate. He was elected as a Democrat from New York to the U.S. Senate and served from January 3, 1965.
Within our own country, that we can stand for something more within the United States. If you think that we have a role that we can play with all of mankind, I ask for your help. I'm announcing today my candidacy for the presidency of the United States. I do not run for the presidency merely to oppose any man, but to propose new policies.
Bobby flew to Indianapolis for a campaign speech in a black neighborhood. En route, a reporter had told him that Martin Luther King had been murdered.
The police thought it was dangerous. They didn't want us to go in there, but he went. I scribbled something on a piece of paper because I knew he'd want to say something, but he had figured out what he was going to say. He had written it himself. We brought them the news that Martin Luther King had been shot.
I have some very sad news for all of you, and I think sad news for all of our fellow citizens and people who love peace all over the world. And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
Most of the people hadn't even heard that Dr. King had been shot, and we were stunned, and we all cried. But that evening, Robert Kennedy spoke from his soul.
For those of you who are black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and mistrust of the injustice of such an act against all white people, I would only say that I can also feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man.
The words, they just ring. They'll just chill your body. And he did it not in a loud, but almost in a prayerful.
What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another, and a feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be black.
Bobby and Martin Luther King Jr. both fought for the civil rights because they thought it was the greatest impact for this country at the time. That's why Bobby was a great sympathizer for Martin Luther King Jr.'s death.
Can work together in the last analysis, and that what has been going on within the United States over the period of the last 3 years, the divisions, the violence, the disenchantment with our society, the divisions, whether it's between blacks and whites, between the poor and the more affluent, or between age groups, or in the war in Vietnam, that we can start to work together. We are a great country, and a selfish country, and a compassionate country, and I intend to make that my basis for running and over the period of next year.
After he finished his speech, he was scheduled to walk through a service corridor and talk to the kitchen staff. As he walked through the kitchen, shaking hands, he came face to face with a man named Sirhan Sirhan. Sirhan fatally wounded Kennedy with 3 gunshots, 1 to the head. Kennedy's last recorded comment was, "Is everyone all right?"
That in this generation, those with the courage to enter the conflict will find themselves with companions in every corner of the world. For the fortunate amongst us, the fourth danger, my friends, is comfort. The temptation to follow the easy and familiar path of personal ambition and financial success so grandly spread before those who have the privilege of an education. But that is not the road history has marked out for us. There is a Chinese curse which says, "May he live in interesting times." Like it or not, we live in interesting times. They are times of danger and uncertainty, but they are also the most creative of any time in the history of mankind. And everyone here will ultimately be judged, will ultimately judge himself on the effort he has contributed to building a new world society and the extent to which his ideals and goals have shaped that effort.
Anybody here see my old friend Bobby? Can you tell me where he's gone? I thought I saw him walking up over the hill with Abraham and Martin